Mainstream media being fair with all of the coverage?
No.
Why?
They don't check the facts. I noticed that with me since my husband announced story after story. Even if I say my answers, they don't listen to me. They would prefer to listen to somebody else who doesn't know me. That's why all the immigration story came out, as you remember. New York Post did two days in a row. My pictures that I took as a model. I'm very proud of my body. I'm not ashamed of my body. I'm very comfortable in my body.
All right, that was Melania Trump talking with Fox and Friends co-host Ainsley Earhardt about the mainstream media's coverage of her husband and her and her husband's campaign. During the sit-down, Ainsley asked Mrs. Trump about her reaction to the leaked audio of her husband from 2005. Let's take a look.
Those words, they were offensive to me, and they were inappropriate. And he apologized to me, and I accept his apology. And we are moving on.
From a woman's perspective, what were your thoughts when you heard those tapes?
This is not the man that I know. This is, we could see, as I always said, as my husband said as well, for a successful businessman, entrepreneur, entertainer, that he did so much in his life, being in so many shows, so many tapes. It's very hard to run for a public office. And he did it anyway. He said, I want to help American people. I want to keep America safe. I want to bring back jobs, bring back economy. So our children, our future will be the best way possible.
All right, the full interview with Melania Trump is going to air tomorrow, beginning at 6 a.m. on Fox and Friends. And joining us now is our own Ainsley Earhardt. First of all, congratulations. I watched the interview. It's amazing.
Thank you.
I have gotten to know her, and I want to get your thoughts on this. She's such an impressive woman. English is her fifth language, not her first, not her second. What do you think of her, first of all, as a person?
As a person, she's extremely strong, Sean. I was very impressed with that. We walked through the apartment, and I said, look at your view. We're looking down at Central Park. You and I both moved here. We first came as tourists, then we both moved here. I said, and look at you. You're living over the place where every tourist in New York City comes. You come from a different country. You speak so many languages. You're married to a man who could be the president of the United States. You could become the first lady. If that's not the American dream, I don't know what is. And I said, do you pinch yourself when you're walking through? There it is. At that moment, I said, do you pinch yourself when you're walking through this apartment? She said, Ainsley, I don't have time to pinch myself.
Yeah, by the way, I've been in that very same room, and I feel like I got to be careful. I don't want to mess anything up in that room.
I know.
All right.
It's beautiful.
It's a pretty extensive interview. You asked her very specific questions about, for example, the women coming forward, about Donald Trump, and I thought she gave a very strong answer. Here it is.
Oh, okay.
I was not surprised in one way because, as I said before, everything was organized, and it is 3 weeks before the elections. All these women coming out, and they are allegations that they are not true. Why now? Why 3 weeks before the election? What they're accusing my husband, that is not the person that I know.
What is your message to these women? What would you like to say to them?
That all the allegations should be handled in a court of law and without the evidence. To accuse somebody, is a man or a woman, it's damaging and it's unfair.
Why do you think they would make this up then?
Because they want to damage the presidency of my husband. And it was all planned, was all organized from the opposition.
You know, Ainsley, I think you raise a very, very tough point. about these women, but I was watching Judge Jeanine Pirro over the weekend, and for example, one of the main accusers was on a flight with Donald Trump, and the guy that was sitting in the seat next to them totally debunked that story. But when you reveal it 3 weeks before an election, it becomes very difficult for the person being accused. What did you think of her answer on that?
Yeah, I mean, I thought her answer was fair. She said there's no evidence, so let's take this to court. Prove to me you just can't come out a few weeks before the election and damage my husband's reputation and say these things about a father without any evidence. But from a woman's perspective, I mean, I definitely see both sides. And here they are. Like she said, it was coordinated. So many women came out at one point. She did make a good point saying, why didn't one or two come out periodically if that were the case? Why didn't they come out immediately when this happened, if it did happen? She said, why did they all come out together, and it happened to be just a few, 22 days out from the election?
And it's also relevant in this sense that I interviewed Juanita Broderick, Paula Jones, and Kathleen Willey and Kathy Shelton, and one of the things that surprised me in that interview, Ainsley, was they didn't get requests to be interviewed by many of the same media outlets that have gone wall to wall on this. You asked one really important follow-up question that I want to sneak in here, and that is what she thinks about them probing Bill Clinton, considering we know that the Monica story is true, we know the Jennifer story is true, and he did pay $850,000 to Paula Jones. Let's roll it.
Is it fair for the media to bring up Bill Clinton's past, or for Donald Trump to bring up Bill Clinton's past?
Well, if they bring my past, why not?
So they're asking for it.
They're asking for it. They started. They started from the beginning of the campaign, putting my picture from modeling days, as you want that to be your first lady. That was my modeling days, and I'm proud what I did. I worked very hard.
I think that was a good answer. Ainsley, just to tell people, programming note, set your alarm. The entire interview with Melania airs tomorrow morning, right?
That's right. Tomorrow from 6 to 9 Eastern Time, we're going to be on with Melania. I sat down with her for an hour and a half, talking about how they decided to run together as a couple. Her immigration papers, people have questioned whether or not she came here legally. She talks about that. Her advice to her husband for the debate on Wednesday. Why we don't see her out on the campaign trail as much. That answer was a strong answer. And when are we going to see her out more, and Ivanka more? People always request those two things to all of us. So there you go. Lots more that I'm not including.
All right, Ainsley, great interview, great job as always.
Sean.
Thank you so much for sharing it with us.